Kaiju Girl Caramelise is an adorable shoujo rom-com about how hard love can be for a teenager, especially if you're a teenage kaiju. Welcome once again to Musings by Danon. Today marks the first ever video that I was paid to do. Mr. Waffles joined by Patreon at the Foretold Yusha tier. You too can join this tier, and I'll be more than happy to do a video on any content you request. Within reason, of course. It's gotta be safe for YouTube and can't be too long, otherwise it'll take months to get the video out, and that's not fair to you as a Patreon. If you want to support this channel as well, you can head on over to patreon.com/Danon. Link in the description below. With that out of the way, let's talk about this wonderful manga from Aoki Spika. Our manga begins with a confession. Unfortunately, it doesn't turn out too well for our heroine, Akaishi Kuroe. You see, she was born with a rare disease. Every time her emotions get out of control, parts of her change. Her hands become claws, spines grow from her back, and her pupils narrow to slits. So to keep a grip on her emotions, she distances herself from the rest of the class. To others, she appears angry and bitter. Because of this, the popular girls in class call her Psycho-tan. And right in the center of those girls, the object of their worship is the prince of the classroom, Minami Arata. Ugh, why did her seat end up next to his? The gaggle of idiots are always surrounding Minami, to the point that Akashi can't even sit at her desk. Enraged, Akashi hides in a toilet stall in the bathroom and punches a wall. Clang! It happened again. She calms herself by listening to her favorite music and filling her head with thoughts of her favorite foods. Eventually, her hand returns to normal. Throughout her entire life, Akaishi's never been able to make friends. In addition to her hand, spinal plates will appear on her back, like when she was invited to play ball in elementary school. Now, Akaishi does everything in her power to remain unnoticed, especially in the superficial, judgmental world of high school she finds herself in. During lunch, she escapes to her one refuge, the Perron. Completely absorbed in her artwork, she's startled when a visitor arrives. The class prince himself, Minami. Freaking out about his presence and the fact that he knows her name, Akaishi is even more freaked out when Minami compliments her artwork. But her heart starts racing when Minami sits down right next to her. Spines start growing from her back. We, as the audience, can see that Minami is interested in Akaishi, but Akaishi has had a lifetime of bullying and being different. He tries to be disarming, but Akaishi is having none of that. Minami has no idea what it's like to live with an inferiority complex. Instead, he's living his life half-cocked. He doesn't mind people taking pictures of him, but he doesn't enjoy it either. Akaishi yells at him, telling him he's being rude to everyone trying to be friends with him. She's not trying to make him a better person or anything, she just wants him to go away so she can go back to drawing. Instead, Minami takes her words to heart. He realizes she's right, thanks her, and leaves her with a blanket so she doesn't get cold out on the steps. Akaishi stands there, frozen in shock for a bit, and then chases him down and throws the blanket at him. What a jerk! Only, the spikes on her back won't go down. And they don't go down, even when she gets home and hides from her mother. The next day, Minami comes to bug her again and invites her out for fluffy pancakes. He says he won tickets and is going with a group of friends. Akaishi is embarrassed at first, but the temptation of fluffy pancakes is too great, so she agrees. And wouldn't you know it, none of the other friends that were supposed to come showed up. Wait a minute, is this a date? Akaishi decides to focus on how delicious the pancakes are. Minami can't help but laugh at the joy on Akaishi's face. He apologizes and lets her know that he's been watching her. So he's not used to seeing such a joyful look on her face. She's always so studious, making sure the class is clean, and even the flowers in the class have started to bloom, because Akaishi has been watering them every day. Minami thinks her behavior is very cool. Akaishi tries to ignore his words, not wanting her heart to open up only to be hurt again. But she can't taste the pancakes anymore. Trying to change the subject, Akaishi asks why Minami isn't eating any. Minami confesses that he gains weight really easily and even shows her a picture of what he looked like in junior high. Akaishi doesn't care if he's fat or skinny, she's just happy that she got to go eat these delicious pancakes. And it would be a shame if Minami didn't get to partake of them as well. Properly chastised, Minami grabs the proffered pancake and takes a bite. Akaishi decides that maybe, just maybe, she'll allow herself to fall for this guy. Minami walks Akaishi to the train station and notices that she's wobbling. He offers to take her home, as it appears she's not feeling too well, when two of the girls from class show up. They freak out, wondering what the class prince is doing with that ugly loser. Akaishi retreats into herself, realizing that allowing herself to feel again was a mistake. Suddenly, Minami grabs her hand and walks away from his fans. The world is once again full of color instead of shades of gray. Akaishi is so happy she doesn't know what to do. Blushing, her heart starts beating out of control. The whole world seems pink and her hands change to claws. Not only that, but her pupils become heart-shaped. Apologizing, she runs away from Minami. She doesn't want him to see her as a monster, and her heart is beating so fast. She tries to calm herself, grabs onto a railing, tears it, and plunges into the water below, only to emerge as a kaiju. She knows that there's no way Minami could ever accept her as she is, and the idea of love should make her afraid. But she can't stop it. She loves this boy, even knowing that allowing herself to feel that way will cause this dynamic transformation. Her mother, observing the sudden appearance of a kaiju from her balcony, instantly recognizes her daughter. And so ends Chapter 1. The manga is currently at 5 volumes, and Volume 6 comes out this September. I'm very excited for it, and grateful to Mr. Waffles for introducing me to this adorable series. I don't want to spoil anymore, and everything I've talked about is only from the first chapter, which the author actually released on Twitter. However, Mr. Waffles asked me to talk about some of the kaiju references in the manga, so I did want to briefly talk about another character who appears in Volume 1. When you think of kaiju, of course Godzilla is the first one that comes to mind. He's the king of the monsters after all. However, the second most popular one, and the one most popular with female kaiju fans, is Mothra. That's an actual statistic, by the way. Any Godzilla film that features Mothra has more tickets purchased by women than by men. And how can you not love Mothra? Just look at this cute little caterpillar. Wait, that's not a caterpillar, that's a sleeping bag. Manatsu, another student at Akaishi and Minami's school, is obsessed with kaiju. Ever since she was a little girl, she's been a huge fan. And not just a fan, she's in love with them. Romance burns deep within her soul, and she's found herself in love with Harugan, the kaiju that Akaishi transforms into. The name Harugan is a mix between Harumi, which means river, where the kaiju was first seen and also where they disappeared, and dragon. This is not the first time kaiju names were a blend of two words. In fact, Gojira is a blend of Gorira, the Japanese word for gorilla, and Kujira, meaning whale. Akashi didn't pick the name Harugan, it was just thrust on her by the media. Manatsu, after talking with Akaishi, determines that she must be Harugan's Miku. What's a Miku, you ask? They're sort of the high priest for a specific kaiju. According to the lore surrounding kaiju films, a Miku has a psychic connection with a specific monster. They don't so much summon it as they explain the need for them to appear, and if the kaiju agrees, it appears to help. Or hinder, as the case may be. To fully appreciate this manga, you need to at least be aware of kaiju. You don't need to dedicate a month to watching every Godzilla film, but my wife would welcome you to the fandom if you did. As we read this manga together, she was reminded mostly of Son of Godzilla. Certainly not the best of the Godzilla films, but the mirroring of a young kaiju being bullied was easy to see, and the comparisons make sense, at least on the surface. However, the son of Godzilla, or Minilla as he's known, wasn't bullied by Godzilla for amusement. It was to help him grow. Sort of a tough love parenting thing. Minilla's atomic breath came out as atomic smoke rings rather than a focused blast destroying everything in its path. But Godzilla soon discovered that when Minilla was stressed, like when his tail was stomped on, he was able to breathe the atomic breath properly to devastating effect. The difference with Kaiju Girl Caramelise, though, is that when she's stressed out, her powers don't fully manifest. Sure, parts of her may change, but she doesn't take on the form of a full kaiju unless her heart is full of love. And that's what the difference is. Most of the movies from the Godzilla franchise are political in nature with dark undertones, while others are just about their own internal mythos. Godzilla is sometimes an ally to humans, a defender of the Earth. Sometimes he's the Earth's avenger, sent by Mother Nature as a punishment for humanity's hubris. However, there are several Godzilla movies that are aimed at kids, and those are lighthearted and fluffy, just like this series. If you want a manga where the main heroine has the power to destroy Tokyo but struggles to express her feelings to the boy she loves, you should absolutely check out Kaiju Girl Caramelise. Thanks for tuning in. Once again, a huge shout out to my editor Cute Stuff. I couldn't make these videos without her. If you'd like to hire her to edit your own videos, there's a link to her Fiverr page below. I'm doing a push and trying to post new videos every weekday for the next few months, so look forward to lots of new videos in the near future. Or you can click here for more manga content. Stay safe, and I'll see you all again next time on Musings by Danon.